Your job as an agent is to choose your market. Now, this is critically important because the market that you've got today needs to be big enough to fulfill your dreams and aspirations. Now, why is this such a critically important part? Because chosen markets really matter. For you, you need two chosen markets. The first is what we've got to call a primary market, and the second is what we've got to call a secondary market. Now, the primary market is the normal stuff that turns over all the time. It's closest to the average sale price of your area, maybe $50,000 or $100,000 either side of that. And the reason why it's called an average sale price is that that's where the majority of transactions happen all the time. And it's a good market, it's fast-paced, it's consistent, and it turns each and every month. The second market is then what we call our secondary market, which is the one that's a little bit higher in terms of price point. Maybe not as many transactions, there's some very bullish prices that are paid, but that market is the first to suffer when the market's transactions start to come back a little. Now, it's important to have that secondary market because not only can it be juicy, it's also a great opportunity to be able to find sellers that are actually in your primary market because they're going to be upgrading, having a look at more expensive homes, and then they're in a position that they therefore need to sell theirs. So a great business is one that actually has trade-ins. And so therefore, your job as an agent is to really choose your markets. Now, the industry is in a position where it seems a little bipolar on this particular issue. The first thing that we do is that we give people a territory, sometimes known as a farm area. Now, the problem with that whole farm area concept is that who do we give the new market to? The brand new agent in the office. So now what we do is we send the newest agent out into the toughest market with the lowest level of skill sets to build new market share against the toughest competitors. And you can kind of see why that doesn't necessarily work. Even worse than that is that when we think about territory management, we don't really think about all the people that we already know in and around that territory. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's imagine, for example, that we were Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola was going to give me a sales territory. Now, when Coca-Cola gives me that sales territory, as a Coca-Cola representative, what I'm going to be looking for is a couple of things. Number one, who are all the people right now that are stocking Coca-Cola? Number two, who are all the people right now that are selling Pepsi and not Coca-Cola? Number three, who are all the people that have just opened new businesses that maybe we don't yet have a relationship with? And number four, who were previous clients of Coca-Cola that they're in a position that they're a previous client because they weren't paying their bills on time? Now, if I'm going to maximize the territory, the first thing I'm going to do is use a philosophy called to increase the customer spend. So I'm going to go to all of the existing clients of Coca-Cola and see if I can get them to increase their spend. You know, add a Coke with the burger meal, add a Coke when you fill your car up with petrol, move maybe the refrigerator for Coca-Cola closer to the cash register, so therefore people are more likely to pick up a bottle of Coke on their way through. Now, this is interesting because once I've increased the spend there, then I've got to go and attack all the people that are currently in a position that they're dealing with Pepsi. You know what? No one ever really comes in and says, can I have a Pepsi? Why don't we just get Coke? You get the idea. When we move to the third group, we're then in a position that we're trying to establish new relationships with people that we've never met before. And the fourth group is about making sure that we can get a credit account in play, or maybe even to get them to prepay for their Coca-Cola. Now, what does that have to do with real estate and our territories? Well, it's a really important part. If you give me a territory, please make sure you give me a list of all of the people that we already know in that area. That includes where the landlords live, the investment properties that we currently manage, past clients of the firm who've previously bought from us, past clients of the firm who sold with us but then bought inside of that new territory, combined with all of the people that the existing people in the office already know who live in and around that area. And my job is to then go and build those relationships forward to actually get us a result. Now, this is where the politics of the organization comes into play. You can't speak with them because Bill in our office had a coffee with them in 1984. Or even worse than that, and that's a past client of Johnny who doesn't ring his past clients. Or even worse than that, you cannot ring the landlords who live in and around the territory. So here's the question. If you're going to give me a territory, why aren't I allowed to go and talk to the customer? Because if you're going to force me to do cold activities, you're expecting me to door knock or potentially a cold call an existing customer of the firm. And unfortunately, that just doesn't cut it in the modern world. Our job is to make sure that we can leverage to what we go to call relationship marketing. So where are all the key relationships that we've already got and being respectful of those relationships in play. Where this comes and it's most prevalent is about the conversation that when a new listing comes into the office, who are all of the people that we already know around that new listing? Now, whose job is it to ring people that are the past clients of the firm and even the landlords to advise them about that new listing? because particularly if the owner is an absentee landlord, where are they going to find out about other properties that are coming up in and around the building or the property that they already own? Your job as an agent is to become a full service firm. Maybe we could just be really respectful and ring our client and say this: "Hi Hannah, it's Josh Fegan calling from XYZ brand. The reason for my call, I know that you work with Phil in our office and he just wanted me to let you know that number 23 in your street is available for sale. It's going to be open on Saturday and we'd love to have you come down." If that particular client comes down, we're going to let the key agent know that, and together we're going to now go and pursue to get that listing. Because together we're getting another signboard up actually allows us to have more market share more often. Now this is really coming from abundance thinking, but it's actually coming from customer-centric thinking. We must have a customer obsession. The customer is at the center of everything that we do, and they fundamentally don't care about our politics. What they care about more is how do we go to serve them and their needs and their situation. Our job is to meet those unmet, unidentified, and unsatisfied needs. Really hope you've enjoyed this week's coaching tip, and I look forward to seeing you next week.